welcome to your day off. My name is Corey, and of course, sitting with my best bud, Tone. What's up, Tone?
What's up, brother?
Nothing, man. So today I'm super stoked. I think you mentioned it before. This is like a bucket list guest that we have today.
Yeah, it's check. Well, hopefully it check.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
like we talked about this earlier, and how we're 30-year hairdressers, and there's very few people that we've held not necessarily on a pedestal, but we looked up to, right? We admired, we aspired to, right?
Right.
And this particular guest is definitely on the top, one of the top.
And I have a story to tell, and I think I want to. We got to reveal who we're talking to today. But many times on the podcast, I said, what a motivator to start the podcast was one. I was always curious as to people that stood in front of us, whether it was in front of a classroom. I mean, whether it was in front of the salon or whether it was, in a classroom or on a stage. I was always curious as to, what career decisions did that person make to sit in front of us and talk, and not in kind of an ego kind of way, but just in a real kind of way, like, wow, what have they done to be successful? And of course, the bigger the proverbial stage was, the deeper that question was, because there's always a path to get on a stage. And then the second question that I always ask is, then when the people are talking on the stage, like, what happens? Today we're talking to Miss Sonya Dove, and huge fan of Sonya, and I've seen her many times on the stage. But the question was, when she finished her presentation, she would walk off stage, and then we wouldn't see her again for another year, probably at the same event, probably on the same stage. I know, shut your face. I know, right? So that was, what do those people do for the year or until we see them the next year? So, the podcast was motivated by answering those questions.
Well, good. Luckily for you, now you can get that answer.
No, can't wait. Woo! So, again, like I said, our guest today is Sonya Dove, and Sonya's been with Wella for a few years, and she's also working with Ulta now, right?
Yeah, I think she's been with Wella. Yeah, for a few years.
For a few years.
Just for a
few. I'm sure we'll get to that in her story. Should we just get in?
Yeah.
All right.
Enough
cool.
About me and you.
So, Miss Sonya Dove, welcome to your day off.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? All the way from LA. It's early in the morning in LA.
Yes, it is, and it's a nice sunny day. It's great. It's a rare occasion to be home, so it's lovely.
I know, boy. You do some traveling, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Well, the United States is huge, so to get from A to B is quite the trek sometimes.
So you said United States huge, but where did you grow up? Where are you
I'm
from?
actually from England, and not London. Everyone thinks there's London and there's nothing else, but I'm from a small town called Devonshire, which is southwest England, and it's where all the surfing happens, and it's very coastal. It's along the beach, but it's not the beach how it is here, like LA or Miami. It's very rugged, so it's called Devonshire, and the actual town is Torquay. So it's not so far.
Is that near Dover?
Oh, further southwest than Dover, further down, more southwest. Dover's it's south, but it's a little bit more near London.
Got it. Because we went to Dover, didn't we?
Oh,
went to the cliffs there.
White Cliffs of Dover.
Yeah, the White Cliffs of Dover. That's awesome. So, how did you kind of? What did you like? That's where you went to school and high school.
Yes,
and all that good
actually,
stuff?
it's funny. One of the number one questions I ever have is, have you always wanted to do hair? And my story is actually the opposite. I wanted to be a nutritionist. It was a dream of mine when I was at school, but unfortunately in England at the time, you needed to have a biology O level. You needed all these certain credentials to be able to be a nutritionist, and I tried for it twice and I wasn't able to get the grades. And I'll never forget, it was Christopher Dove's mother, who I knew at the time then. I was 16, and she said, oh, what was it about nutrition what makes you want to get into that? And I said, it's just looking after people, making sure people are fixed or well, or helping people. And she said, well, if you can't get biology for being a nutritionist, have you thought about maybe doing something like hairdressing? And at the time, Christopher was doing hairdressing, he was going to start to do hairdressing the following year. So I thought, I'll try it. Worst case scenario, I try something else. And I'll never forget day 3 at school. It was trade school in England. I never looked back. That was it. That was my path, and that was in 1978. Yeah, it's quite
Oh,
a while ago.
wow. So how did you and Chris meet?
I met Christopher through my brother. So his brother and my brother were best friends at school. So I met him when I was 12. He was 13. So, in Torquay, in
Wow.
Torquay, and at different schools. And then I went to go and my family were invited to go to his family for Christmas Day. And that's when I met Christopher. That was,
Wow, that's amazing. Like I had no idea they literally
yeah,
grew up together.
long,
No, not at
yeah,
all.
long
Yeah,
time we were together. Yeah.
So
wow.
that's insane. So Christopher, did he knew that he wanted to be a hairdresser?
Yes,
And
he actually was. He was wanted to do something with art, and rather than be an artist, he actually wanted to be a clothing designer. So that's what he wanted to do. But there were so many people doing that at the time. He thought he'd learned the skill of doing hairdressing and maybe combine um, art, hair, and clothes designing all together. So he was already enrolled into going to beauty school.
so it's interesting because you guys are going in at complete
And
different, yeah, angles. 100%. You wanted to help people and make people feel better
yep,
about themselves, or even that to me that's a pretty incredible story. So did you go to school in your
yes.
hometown, or did you leave
No,
and go
what
somewhere else?
happened is our town's small and it has a technical college. And we both went to technical college, which is trade school, and it was for 2 years. And that's where we learned hairdressing, cosmetology. At the time, you couldn't choose. You did everything. You cut, colored, styled, you did barbering, you did everything. It was that whole package of being a hairdresser. And we went to our trade school there in Torquay.
That's so cool. I'm still blown away that you and Chris have
That
known each other
long, I know.
for I mean your whole
Yep,
life and your whole
that's right.
career, certainly. Literally your whole career, right? Like
Yeah.
even before hairdressing, they
Yes,
kind
we
of knew
did.
each other.
This is
God,
at
I don't know why
school.
I don't
This is at school before we even
yeah.
decided, because you had to sign up for your future, the courses you were going to do, like university or trade school. So it was a long time ago. It was good grounding, I have to say. That 2 years was a long time, but it really laid the path for the future. I don't regret a day of it at all.
So the day that the 2 years were up from when you
Yeah.
graduated, did you stay in your hometown and start hairdressing,
Well, what
or?
we did was you had to do a third year and work in a salon as an apprenticeship. So it was 2 years getting your license and then getting a third year in a salon. But basically, you clean, you sweep, you make coffee, and you answer the phone. So we both went to different salons in our town because we couldn't go to the same salon. It wasn't ethical. It wasn't right. So we both went to different
Mhm.
salons, and then we got our third year apprenticeship. And then Christopher's parents got Christopher and myself a small little salon in Torquay. It was one shampoo chair and two styling chairs, tiny, tiny, tiny. And we
Wow.
went straight to start our own salon, but it was minuscule. It was very small. But that was it. A lot, if I may say, something I would probably change if I went back, because we did not know anything about hairdressing, even though we thought we did. But it was all trial
Sure.
and error. Lots and lots of trial and error. Believe it or not, some unhappy clients, some happy clients. It wasn't all hunky dory, but that's what got our start, having our own salon and entering competitions. That's
Did Chris's parents help you manage the salon
Yeah.
as far as the money
His
and all that
mother,
kind of stuff?
Christopher's mother, did all the business. We just literally did the hair, and she did everything to do with business. And then the salon got a bit busier, and then it got a bit busier, and we didn't have enough chairs. So we then moved to another salon that was further, about 4 blocks away, and got a little bit of a bigger salon because now we were getting stylists that wanted to work for us. But if I may say, we had our salon parallel at the same time as entering competitions. And we entered competitions. We
Okay.
were both competition freaks.
What do you think drove that?
Interesting. What drove that? Having so much energy when you first start out, you just soak in everything. So being a little bit bored, not having enough to do, you're sort of indispensable and you can just conquer the world. This is your new career. So you have so much energy. Both of us are very competitive as people. So doing competitions was great because it got us a name for ourselves in the small town we were in our salon, and we started to get a lot of local accolades and local being in the newspaper front cover, and it was PR essentially. It was PR marketing.
Right.
And it just sort of
That's so cool.
escalated from there.
Were you married at the time?
No, Christopher and I didn't get married until he was 24 and I was 23. So no, we were dating, seeing each other and everything because we were childhood sweethearts. And we hadn't got married then. People assumed we were married. We worked together, we lived together. So it was an assumption.
Right.
But no, we didn't get married till later.
And the families were close.
Yes,
obviously.
very close. Christopher's family and my family were extremely close.
That's such a love story, really, right?
It is.
Yeah.
So brilliant. So then the competition, and then the competitions help the salons a lot.
PR. What would happen is we would enter competitions and not really get anywhere for the first 2 or 3 years. That's when Christopher and I were on our own in our small salon. And then all of a sudden, Christopher won a competition and I came second. And it was in the days when you did live models. So we both had a model each, and we thought, wow, this is so cool. So we entered another competition. We drove wherever we need to drive to with with our models, entered a competition, and then I came first and Chris came second. Then we entered another, and basically what we realized, we had a winning formula with our 2 models. So we travel around England, all over Scotland, Ireland, Wales, entering competitions with these 2 girls, my model and his. And basically in 1 year, we won every competition in, it was called the United Kingdom because it's Ireland, Wales, and Scotland and England. And that happened, and we had so much publicity, incredible publicity. And that was the beginning of the Doves. We named ourselves the Doves, the brand, and we did so many competitions, won so much. More people wanted to work in our salon. The salon got busy. We ended up having 18 people at this point. Still 2 kids from beauty school, not doing hairdressing the way it should be, but we thought we knew it all. And then what happened, we were noticed by a brand called Cadus. And actually, Cadus is affiliated with Wella. And Cadus asked us to do a show in London. And we thought, oh my gosh, we can't do that. We can't, it was with the likes, back in the day, it was Irving and Rita Rusk, Trevor Sorby, back years and years ago. So that was our first little seminar.
Wow.
We did a seminar in the Cadus studio and we put everything into it. And it was so successful. because we put our life and soul into it.
Two things. One is that I didn't realize Cadus had been around that long.
Yeah.
You know, like we see him around. We certainly see him at
Yes.
Cosmoprof and stuff like that. I didn't realize that I knew that they were affiliated with Wella, but I just didn't realize it had been around that long. And then, so you shared like a stage with Trevor in the Rusk?
Yes, years in our first big show, the first big one. This what I was talking about wasn't the first one, but after a while of doing these seminars and classes and small things at the Cater studio in London, which was also the Wella studio, we got asked to do a huge show, massive show, and it was called the Association of Hairdressing Teachers, AHT. And we got asked to do a show, and we were on the stage with Tony and Guy. Yeah, it was the big guys, and we were so nervous and scared. But what was interesting, we put everything into it. We brought all our models up from Devon. Christopher did the clothes. We did the makeup ourselves, and we got a standing ovation compared to the others.
Oh my God! In that crowd,
I know, and it was so mad because I think what happened is we tried so hard, and the others had been doing it all the time, so they maybe didn't try as hard as normal. You know, they sort of like, we do this all the time, so hey, this is another. Whereas we put a year into it, like a whole year of working. So we got a really good showdown, and that's all it was.
Wow.
It wasn't that we were any better.
And
we came game on.
Right.
And what did Trevor or did the Rusk or anything? Did they applaud your effort as well?
They did, and we saw them also later. It was Mahogany at the time, Patrick Cameron, and there were other big names. And we got asked to do another show and then another show. And it seemed like for Cadus, they were putting us on the show circuit because that's where we excelled with, if I may say, the smoke, mirror and lights days. No, seriously, that's what it was. We were in the 80s. It was all about the show, all about the show.
Wow.
So as you're doing more shows, I mean, obviously you still have a salon. For young hairdressers, I mean, how are you able to manage, or what kind of advice or whatever you would give to someone that, you know, because that's two different worlds.
It is, and it's a great question actually, because what happened is our clients were so excited that we're going to London, because you've got to think the town we're from, Torquay, it's all thatched roofs, cows and fields. It's very, very small town, really small town. So there was such an excitement in our town. We had our town blessing us and our clients. So what happened was everybody celebrated us. So when we went to London to do these shows, we closed the salon and take all the staff. So it was a road trip.
Wow.
And no one was annoyed. It wasn't every week. It was like once every few months.
And you had the whole town kind of behind you.
Yes,
it sounded
that's
like.
right.
They're celebrities of the town.
Yeah, you're representing them as well. They're like, yeah, go ahead and put us up on there.
That's right. That's exactly.
Really,
there was
really
such
cool
excitement. Yeah. And it made us become the celebrities of the town and then the next town. And so it really helped with the whole branding, actually, and the building up of our name. Actually, when I speak about it,
was the salon called the Doves?
No. Actually, someone gave us some big advice, and the gentleman that gave us big advice was Graham Webb. And Graham Webb said Graham Webb was friends of ours, mine and Chris's, and he said, don't call your salon your name, call it another name. So we didn't call it the Doves. The branding of Christopher and myself doing shows was the Doves, but the salon was called, it's such an 80s name, Sophisticate.
Wait a sec. We got to go back.
We got the pain in your face. Look at her.
I'm having pain from advice from Graham because Graham put his
I
name on
know.
everything. Everything was Graham
I
Webb,
know how crazy.
from product line to schools to
Yeah.
salons
And
to
he
everything.
advised us to not do that.
Right.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's
Yes,
hilarious.
sophisticated.
Because that was before his product
Yes, it
line.
was.
So,
It was. He was doing a lot of shows and
oh,
classes then. It was before his product line completely.
and he continued to put his name on the product line.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
Graham.
I know.
Right.
That's so
I
funny.
know.
Did he tell you why to not do that?
Because we would find it hard to be away from the salon. He said the salon will still run better if your name's not on the door, which is true, which, it's good advice.
It's
It
good
is.
advice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then people would
Wow.
want to come into Sophisticate for their hair, not the branded name of the Doves.
God, that's
Mm,
actually great advice. So you could actually build a staff instead of, just build your
yeah.
own book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
So did you guys have any clue that this was the beginning of something?
No clue whatsoever. Not like, imagine for us, London is the big city. So we would go to London quite often to do classes, be in meetings, different things, but we're still being in Devon. You'd return home to like small town Devon. It's weird. I had no idea.
Wow.
Do they have a street after you now?
It's called Sophisticates Lane.
Yeah, the salon's still there. I went back actually this year to show my boyfriend where I used to live, and it's all still there. It's a different name, but it's still there. I know.
Wow.
That's
Insane.
so. How was it like going back to how it's called Devon? You said the town?
The name of the town is Torquay.
Torquay. So was it weird going from London then back to the
Oh
small
yeah.
town? Was it? Well, did you have to leave your ego in
Well,
London?
actually, looking back, because we were really starting to get very well known, and we started at this point doing tours in Italy for Cadus still. It wasn't Wella. And it would ground us, looking at it, it would ground us to come back home. It made us realize where we came from. So it was a blessing in disguise, to be honest. It really was. And I think, yeah.
Do you just get blown away that like you're from this small town and then you're not recognized as far as face recognition, but recognized as this talented duo? Like that must have just, you and Chris at night when you got home must have been like, wow, how is this even happening?
We would think that when we had things come to us, opportunities that blew our mind, being asked. I remember when we got asked to do the tour in Italy, and it was with an Italian hairdresser called Carlo Bai. It was with Mahogany back in the day, Richard from Mahogany, and then Patrick Cameron was also one of the artists. Moments like that, we would have to pinch ourselves. But on a daily basis, you're caught up with the everyday life speeding by, and you don't really have chance to have your feet on the ground, to be honest.
Right.
So just the instances would make us think, wow, is this really happening?
Pretty extraordinary.
I don't think it's slowed down. I think it's only getting faster for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't think she's stopped.
Oh, that's funny.
Not at all.
So how long? Obviously, now you're in the you're touring, you're doing all these different shows. So, like, how did you end up with Wella?
So, yes, what happened? Cadus, we were doing a few things for Cadus. Then all of a sudden, we got asked to do a tour in England. And it was a huge, huge tour for Wella. It happened every year. And it was actually called the YPS, Young Protege Show. No, YPS, Young Protege Show. And it was a tour that went round 11 cities in England, and it would find the star of Wella in every city. And it was a competition. Actually, when I look back, it's not unsimilar to Trend Vision. the television that's happening
Right.
now, except it was all different cities in England. And so Christopher and I did the show of the tour. So it was a 12-city tour, and seriously, it was like busing, a double-decker bus, like being on a production tour, like being like movie stars. It was so much fun. So we travel with our 12 models, choreographer, makeup artist from city to city, and it was out of this world. And that was for Wella. So that was then Wella. They
Wow.
explained to us that Wella was part of Cadus, and that's how the company was rolling out then, and it was a Wella tour. And from that day forward, we've been with Wella.
I love, love, love that.
That's incredible.
You know, it's amazing too. And people that are listening to this can't see it, but you should see Sonia's face light up when she's telling that story, you know, and
Right.
and you know, that those trips through London, like that's pretty remarkable.
It's amazing how just being in the right place at the right time can totally just change the trajectory of
Yes.
your life.
Honestly, it is. When I look back at my life, at that time, I didn't believe in sort of destiny and things like that. But when I look back on my career and Christopher's, I really believe that it's a little bit of, are no coincidences. I'm a very big person on that. And it's incredible. It's putting in hard work. Everyone works hard. I don't work any harder than anyone else. Everyone works hard, but it's just being able to be open to anything that may come your way. And I think I'm a big believer in that. I'm not very good at visualization for the future. I'm more one day at a time. Christopher is a great visionary. Christopher can visualize something 5-10 years ahead, but Christopher wouldn't know how to get to that goal. Whereas I can't imagine a goal. I can only imagine today as today, not even tomorrow fully. So we were a great balance for each other. We really were when I look back at it. So I think that's how so many great things happen to us.
It's just incredible to be able to share that with your spouse as well, right? Like Tony and I, we've had great opportunities, or we've had, a couple really cool opportunities come our way through the podcast, and we talk about it a lot. Like, it's just a shame that we can't share all that with our spouses, right? We can share it with each other, but we can't share it with our spouses,
because you see,
so
you have an understanding, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, though, if I may say, because Christopher and I, we met when we were 12 and he was 13. I mean, we were together professionally up to me being, I think I was 49 or 50, and Christopher was 1 year older. So we were together professionally that long. We were together personally until I was 39 and he was 40. So that's a lot of years. So we didn't even have to speak to each other hardly. We knew each other, what each other were feeling. But sometimes I think it's not a good thing, because you're living together, you're working together, you're doing everything together. And I have to say, there isn't a lot of room for personal growth. That is the only thing, because you're together so closely that there's no expansion of your own mind. Does that make sense?
Completely. It's I've never kind of believed in growing apart, but I've believed in growing together. You have to, and you and your spouse, you kind of have to give each other room to grow as individuals, but also to grow together at the same time.
100%. And that's something, looking back with Christopher and myself, we did not do. And I'm sure Christopher would say the same. We were just, it's all for one and one for all when it was the two of us. We should have maybe allowed ourselves to have our own separate endeavors. But hey, it turned out okay.
It is what it is. So when did like the partnership, the professional partnership, the Dove partnership, when did that kind of dissolve?
The professional, So the professional partnership is when Christopher resigned from Wella. And Christopher resigned from
Mhm.
Wella. Oh gosh, now I'm trying to think. I'm not exactly correct. I think it was when he was 50 and I was 49. Like so, and I'm 57 now. So about 7 years ago. Six or
About 7
seven
years
years
ago.
ago. I might be off in that assumption, but yes, Christopher resigned from Wella because he met a gentleman, John Simpson, and him and John were going to be getting married, and John was with Goldwell, and I don't think they saw it right that they were both with different manufacturers. And for
Manufacturers,
Christopher,
right?
it was his time. He wasn't feeling it with Wella. I
I get it.
was. So it was time. It was time.
Was it? So did you guys? When did you separate as a
We
couple?
separated as a couple when I was 39. And Christopher and I have been together a long, long time. And it's a personal question that people ask us, but he realized he was gay when he was 39 or 40. He realized he was gay. And I remember exactly, we were living in New Jersey, uh, on the East Coast, and we had come to the United States, and we were creative directors for Elizabeth Arden Red Door Salons and Spas at that point, and we were also doing shows for Wella. So we were the Doves doing everything, and he just realized, all of a sudden, he told me, I'm his best friend in the world, and he's my best friend. And he told me, he said, I don't know why, I just have feelings like I feel as if I'm gay, and so we chatted about it, and it just took time, and he realized he was. So we separated personally, but not professionally at that time. So we carried on with Wella, Elizabeth Arden, and so on, but as a professional couple, but not personal.
So when did you guys come to the
Oh,
States?
we came to the States in 1994. Sorry, I missed that chunk. Oh, I'm sorry, I just missed out 25 years.
Yeah.
I just missed out a chunk.
Like,
Yes.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm
So
kind of. I mean, I can't imagine. I'm in all of you as far as being able to, once Chris came out, that you guys were able to maintain a professional relationship.
being together for so long, and he's been your,
yeah,
quote unquote,
Your
your
everything,
your
really.
everything,
yes,
your soulmate. That can be like a huge boulder
yep,
just crashing down on
yeah.
you, but having the strength
To continue to.
and the heart, just to continue and to stand up and do what you do.
Yeah, it
That
was tough. I have
I
to
give
say it
you.
was tough. Tough for Christopher and tough for myself. And so when we were bowing on stage as the Doves, it 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 sort of caused a lot of grief for me, because in my head I'm thinking, oh, everyone knows we're not together, but we are together professionally. So it did play a number. You know what? It made me stronger. I could say that now. At the
Sure.
time, it wasn't that hunky dory. But for Christopher
No.
as well, difficult. Yes, but what happened is I did miss a chunk of time out when we were doing all these shows in England. We had our salon in Torquay. We were doing shows and classes. We were traveling all over the world with Wella, traveling. And then all of a sudden, a couple came up to us in Paris, a husband and wife that had a big operations in Dallas, Texas. They had 5 schools and 4 salons. And they asked us if we would be interested in coming and doing teaching once a year at their schools and salons. And we did that, but we still had our own salon. We just would come over for 2 weeks, teach in all their different locations, and then go back. And we did that for 4 years in a row. And then one year they asked us
Wow.
if we would ever consider leaving England, and if they got us a green card, we would be creative directors for their schools and salons. And that was a big turning point. For both of us, we left our families and we came to the United States in 1994. And that couple, if I may say, are still mine and Christopher's best friends in the whole wide world. It's Shelton and Linda Ogle. They have Shelton salons in Texas and Ogle schools. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
That's so
amazing.
cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Our parents weren't very happy.
Oh,
I bet not. Did you have a desire to reach the United States, or was it just an opportunity that came about?
I'm going to be on. For me, no. I didn't have. I remember I was not that visual person, so I couldn't see anything
Right.
more than talkie working in a salon, because that's my personality. I'm very analytical. But Chris has always had a dream of going to Hollywood. Always. When I met him and he was 13, he would draw Hollywood, and oh yes, Christopher's been obsessed with the glam of Hollywood in America, always.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad Chris
Yeah.
made it to the U.S. then,
Yeah.
huh?
Right.
That's cool. So I assume that Shelton and Ogle were
Yes,
Wella
they're
companies.
Wella salons, and now they've sold Shelton Linda as very good friends of ours, and they sold Ogle schools. They sold all the schools, and they just have the salons now. And actually, funny enough, I just spoke to Linda Ogle yesterday, saying that yes, they're good friends.
Awesome.
They're big Intercoiffure members. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Do you so are you do you work in the
Yes,
salon
I do.
now?
I work in the salon. Christopher and I had our own salon in Santa Monica for 10 years. But
wow.
I decided when the 10-year lease was up, I decided not to renew it. So Christopher and I did have our own salon. At that time, it was just me running the salon. It wasn't Christopher. Christopher has started to create his own brand, co-create. And so I kept on the salon. So when the salon came to the end of 10 years, I was, not a salon owner. I did not enjoy running the salon at all. So I didn't renew the lease. And so I was part of an Ulta ProTeam. So Ulta has a creative artistic team called the ProTeam, and it's made up of 5 hairdressers. And I was one of those 5. So when I was looking for somewhere to take my clients, I thought I'm going to go to Ulta and take my clients, because I'm already 1 foot in the door with Ulta on their artistic team anyway. So that's why Ulta.
You know what's amazing about Ulta? And I hope I don't get you in trouble.
No,
but you know, like when Ulta first came out, like it was like hairdressers like hated it, right? Like they saw it as competition, a product competition.
I was one of those hairdressers. I was one. No, I'm being upfront. I couldn't stand it if my clients didn't buy from me and they bought from Ulta. It really was. But I have a different feeling for it now. But yes, yeah, definitely.
I was just going to commend Ulta for like being a relevant member in our industry, because we kind of thought of them as like a big box store that was selling our product. We own the product we hadn't sold yet. But just their presence at all the hair shows, and the presence of bringing Sonya in on their team and really giving them credibility.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you connect?
Actually, I got sought out by Ulta. A gentleman called Nick Stenson was the person that I knew of. Nick Stenson through meeting him at hair shows, and he asked if he could have dinner with me when he visited LA. And he told me about the idea of creating this pro team, someone from each manufacturer. And I can remember saying to him, I would love to. It sounds incredible, but I'm not sure if you could pull it off. I don't know how the manufacturers would feel, but hey, game on. If you feel you can do it, I'm validating. Yes, I would love to be part of it. And he pulled it off. He went to Lanza, Matrix, Redken, Wella. Now it's got bigger. We've got Kenra and Mazzani. But he pulled it off, and I thought, and then he went to Wella and asked Wella.
Sonya, who are the other artists that are on the
It's
Pro Team?
Danielle Kiesling from Matrix. Nick Stenson is our leader, Matrix. Ammon Carver, Lanza, is from Lanza. Sean Goddard, Redkin. Carmody Homan, he comes mainly from Ulta, but he's affiliated a little bit with Redken. And now we have more people. We have Pakila Riley from Mizani, and we have David Lopez, and he represents Kenra. So it's a genius idea, but if I may say, I was one of those salon owners that was like, oh, Ulta? And the reason I looked at it was because I was not doing my job right, training my team to make sure that they bought from my salon and didn't buy from Ulta. So I actually turned it around. That's why I was so sort of envious of Ulta, sort of that. So it wasn't them doing things wrong. It was me as a salon owner not training my team and my clients to buy from me. So so it's more that. But
our friend Daniel Mason Jones talks about that. He said, you can't be mad at Amazon because you're not doing, if you did your job better in the salon, then there would be no place for Amazon, is his philosophy of it.
That's completely correct. And if I may say, when my clients were going from my salon, when I closed my salon, I told all the staff about a year before so they could find places, and I helped them find salons. In fact, all of them are in salons that I either know or I sort of validated, because my family, because I don't have children, are my stylists in the salon. And I didn't go straight to Ulta. I was going to work in a salon called Celino Smith, which is what one of my stylists work in. And I had Ulta sort of asking, hey, why don't you work for us? The same time as I was thinking of working in a very high-end salon. And I remember my turning point was a me point, so this might just help viewers. I remember seeing it on the news that morning that Amazon had bought Whole Foods. And I saw that on the news, and I went to work driving to the Doves, and I thought, wow, business is really changing. So out of the two opportunities I had Ulta and I had Celino Smith. I decided to choose Ulta because I'm quite rebellious, and I knew a lot of people would say, Sonya Dove, why did you choose Ulta? I knew I'd get that remark. So I love it when people say to me, oh, you can't do that, because that for me is game on. And that's how I built my career. People saying to me, oh, Sonya, you can't do that. Well, guess what? I'm going to. So,
what's the
I'm sorry. So it was the Amazon thing, and I called up Ulta and I said, I'm considering what you've been talking to me about, and it went from there on.
Wow. I mean, like we kind of touched on this earlier, how fast things happen, and you get so busy, whatever. But I mean, how do you do it all? I mean, obviously you're on the Pro Ulta team. You're still a global ambassador, right? For Wella.
Yes.
Are you still with Intercoiffure as the color council director?
No, that finished last year. So I was for 6 years. I am going to be going to Intercoiffure, but I'm not the color council ambassador. So that's one job less. But
but you have two positions with Wella,
yes,
correct?
So I represent Wella for Ulta. So that's one position. I am a global ambassador for Wella. And then I'm also an influencer for Wella. That's my new job. I come under the influencer category. And I said to Wella, I don't have that many followers. I don't know why I'm come under a category of influencer. but they said that they wanted me to fall under that category. So I do social media work for them now. Yeah.
You've been influencing for a very long time because we've been following you even before the internet.
I know, but my numbers don't show it.
Right.
Oh, numbers.
That's right.
Numbers.
That's what I say.
Right.
Numbers.
Whatever, man. It's what's Jen say? You know, your job is to influence those who are listening.
Yes,
That's right.
yes. And you know what? The reason I love social media, people think that I don't like it because of my age, but I'm one of those people, I just like learning anything. Anything new for me drives me, inspires me. So I find it great. I love it. I really do. You know, and there's learning in both
That's so
ways.
cool.
You can learn from your phone, you can learn one-on-one in a environment, in a class. There's so many ways.
I kind of want to take you back a little bit and this is just my experience. So, you know, by all means, correct me where I'm wrong, but it seemed like when you and Chris were on stage together, that Chris kind of held the audience. You know, he was kind of the one that was doing all the talking and stuff. And not that you were a wallflower by any means, but, you know, kind of Chris owned.
I was. No, I'm the first to own up. Like in my office, I have little post-it said the old wallflower. No, I was the wallflower.
Perfect. Then you'll play right into it. So, you know, you came off. You've told us how how competitive you are, and how you like to be kind of motivated by like, tell me I can't and I'll show you. But have you ever like had to fight with like self-confidence, or, you know, do you have tools where like if you felt less than what Sonya should feel like?
Well, I do a lot of reading. So when I was with Christopher, I'm one of these personalities that is one of those followers that's 99.9% follower for someone. I'm a great support. I always have been. And I really enjoyed being that support for Christopher. I really didn't want to be on a stage speaking at all. I wanted to support him so that the brand was Christopher Dove. But someone suggested we make it the Doves. It wasn't, it was originally Christopher Dove. And then it was just a choice that I wanted to be at that time. And I did not know any better until Christopher resigned from Wella. And that was a huge, huge awakening for me, because it felt to me as if I was lost. I actually, I'm going to be truthful with you. I remember when I found out that he resigned, I actually contemplated, and my boyfriend knows this, contemplated not being in the industry anymore, because who was I? Who was I without Christopher? Like, what could I bring to the table? My confidence level was dreadful. It really was. So I did quite a few months of reading, learning, just trying to boost myself up. And the support of Wella at that time was phenomenal, because they would be, come on, Sonya, you can do it, you can do it. And I asked them for that support, because they said they wanted me to stay with Wella. And I said, I'd love to stay with Wella, but I don't know how I can do it without Christopher. And they said they would support me. And that was how I did it, one step at a time. But for anyone that's listening, I'm a big believer. I'm leaning back here to get my wallet and my purse, but I have lots of little sayings that I carry around with me all the time, and I read them. I read the sayings. So if I get nervous, I just read them, and it puts me in a place of feeling more confident. But I've had to read my little pieces of paper less and less over the years, because I've felt a lot better.
Can you give us a couple of those?
Of course. Email. Sorry. Write it, read it, or send it.
Yeah, just read one or two right now.
Okay, and also, if I may, I've got a lot. I have things. So this is a little post-it that I photocopied and put. So creative failure. I cannot fail unless I refuse to create. The moment I take even one small action igniting the fire of my creative project. Success is mine. Failure only exists when you say no. Go ahead and do. So failure, just little things. Marianne Williamson, our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. It's very famous, was all those.
I love
so these are my things that I have around, and they're all in my office at that moment when I was so fearful that Christopher left. Now, I'll be honest, 7 years later, I keep them up there to remind me of that how vulnerable I was, but I don't really use them that much now because I'm ready to take on the world. I wasn't then.
Because now you know that it was half you through all that success and not necessarily 100%
You got it. Yeah.
So tell us something that we don't know about you.
Don't know. Well, I think I've told enough people, but I don't know about me. Okay. Oh, one thing, I'm a swimming champion when I was younger. So I was going to go into swimming backstroke. I won lots of competitions doing backstroke. So that's where the competitive side of me came in, because I did that at the age of, from the age of like 12 to 16. So a lot of people don't know that about me. Bringing it up to today, I don't have children. I do have a passion. I love house music and I love dancing. I absolutely love dancing. If everything else is going wrong for me and I go out dancing and I hear that bass sound, I like a lower vibration, bass sounding, it alleviates all the stress away from me. So I love that. And I love nature. I love being by the ocean. I love being amongst trees, and I love nature. I'm not a city girl, I'll be honest with you, even though I live in LA. So the combination of dancing and nature, I love music festivals that are in the middle of nowhere, like a few thousand people, but where it's in nature. So that's something people don't know about me. Oh, I know what someone might not know. Actually, I think the list is long. So one thing I do want to say is I'm the eldest of 4 siblings, and I left school with 10 failures. So my siblings and I all went to the same school all together, and they left with A levels and grade A's of all these academic maths and everything, and I left with nothing. And fast forwarding up to now, I'm the one that's got the career, and they're the ones that had all those qualifications and never did anything with it. And when I look back and I see and I think of that defining moment, I wanted to prove to my parents, my siblings, and the world that I was of worth, that I'm worthy. I remember thinking, I'm going to show everyone. And all I did was work. And I'm an obsessive worker. And it worked out okay in the long run, but it was that fight and determination, because I left school with absolutely nothing. And all everyone ever said to me was, you're going to be nobody. So guess what?
Wow. You meant that's impressive, but you mentioned work. How do you find time for work? Did you find any time for pleasure?
It's still a difficult balance. I try, but it's hard because I love my work. My work's hair. I love doing it. I really do. But it's not easy. I try to. And I've got better as I've got older. My boyfriend reminds me. But even when I was young, when I was saving up money to buy my first car, I delivered newspapers. I worked in the salon during the week and on Saturdays, and I did something else. I remember I did a job where you had to stick envelopes and put a stamp on an envelope, you know, for a company. I had so many jobs when I was young. Actually, I don't think it's changed.
That's how she does it all, Tony. You just asked her a couple minutes ago. That's how she does it all.
No, but
I
do. You know what it is? I just love what I do. And I've read a lot of books and work on myself. Is it wrong that I love people? I love people like you two. I just love this. I love the interaction and the energy. Hairdressing is the driver, but it's not the reason. The reason I'm in this industry is purely people.
And that's why you like, I guess, being around a couple of thousand people and nature and club music. And
dude, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Sonya, what have you, I mean, you're in like California, man. Like that's the music festival capital of everything, man. Have you gone to any of like the I don't know if they're famous or infamous, but have you been to any of the famous, infamous music festivals out there?
Well, I've been to Coachella a few times, but the type of festivals I like are more conscious music festivals. So Burning Man would be one. I'm a burner. I've been going to Burning Man for years and years and years. My boyfriend introduced me to Burning Man, and it is hardcore. It's not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. But it's in the middle of nowhere. It's where you barter. If you want something, you barter. And the bartering, there's no money. The bartering could be a hug or maybe a little bracelet, or it could be anything. I do, if someone's hair is in their face, I just do a little braid and braid it out their way. That's my gift.
Wow.
So what was your experience the first time? Like, obviously, I mean, we've all heard it, but to experience for the first time, I mean,
it's
what was
incredible.
that like?
I'm not validating Burning Man for everybody, because I know a lot of people that have gone that do not like it at all. But for me, it's very inspirational. I think the thing I love about Burning Man is it's like me going to a self-awareness hardcore course. Because anything you've got going on inside you at that time that you go, it comes and faces you in the face. So it's like doing Anthony Robbins' work or Deepak Chopra or any of that work on self-development, self-awareness work. And because you've got 80,000 people going there to help and develop themselves, there's an energy that you can't describe. It's unbelievable. There's no technology there. There's no telegraph poles or power lines or anything. It is in the middle of nowhere. And you go there, you live for a week, and you do anything. TED Talks is a big supporter. Google support it.
Wow.
And you leave and you don't leave a trace on the ground. 80,000 people, not a sequin, not a feather, not the end of a cigarette. It is Leave No Trace, it's called. Yeah, so they're the type of things I go to.
Do you guys create your own camp, or do you bring?
I joined
a
camp.
camp?
I joined a camp called 1001 Nights, and this Burning Man-esque thing. My boyfriend's really into conscious festivals. He used to be a DJ. Go figure.
Oh wow.
He's been a DJ. He's a photographer now. So he's a professional photographer. He did beauty and fashion. He's French in Paris. So he's the one that introduces me to these festivals. I just came back from an amazing festival in Poland. Oh my God. In the lakes, in the nature. It was the end of August, beginning of August, and it was out of this world. And it was all what I call conscious people. So Leave No Trace. People that believe that there's an there's a movement of people. People are going to be really strong. Community is going to elevate, and elevate higher than politics or religion. That's my belief. I know it's a funky belief, but I think people are very powerful and strong.
I'm with you.
I'm with you. I love. I love the idea of like you leave no trace, right? Like when you leave Burning Man, like everything, every
Yeah.
glitter, feather, everything is
And if
out.
if
Hey,
your camp leaves anything, if you have, because there's a number, you get given number. If your camp leaves anything, you're not allowed to come back the next year. They're very strict. They're very
wow.
strict.
Well, they need to be.
Yeah.
I would assume. Have you been to Dre? What's Dre's Hair by Dre? Is it Dre Hair?
Hair by Dre.
Hair by Dre. He's done that. He does that thing in LA, the craft hair book.
No, do you know what? I've heard of it. I've heard of Hair by Dre, but no, I haven't heard of Craft Book. No, I'm writing this down.
He actually because so he did a bunch of, he brings in a bunch of hairdressers, and he kind of does it. What he told us is that he kind of does it in like a Burning Man kind of way.
Okay.
Like, it's like all these like individuals are doing hair. Like you just kind of like, you float like artist to artist and kind of watch what they're doing. But it's very like in your face and very accessible to people that are there. You should definitely get together.
Fantastic. I've written it down. Actually, I've written it down. That sounds fantastic. Yeah, I just like anything. I'm sort of not a hippie, but I'm like that type of personality.
Yeah, you're a hippie.
That's what Joe used to put off mad. Right. It's so funny. We were so different because he's a city guy. He's all about Versace, Gucci. I'm all about earth and like chilling and doing hair, like jamming. Oh yeah, no, we're so different.
That's awesome. So cool. Hey Sonya, so if some of our listeners wanted to find you or get in touch with you, what's the best way to
yes,
to find you?
My social media handle is at Sonya Dove, SONYADOVE. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook, and I answer where people message you. It's called DM. Yes,
DM or Messenger.
I answer those. I have an email as well.
Go on.
Yeah. Sonya Dove 4554 @gmail.com.
Awesome. Miss Sonya, thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out. That hour flew by like that.
Wow.
It's incredible, man. I want we have to talk again because there's lots of stuff we wanted to talk to you about that we didn't, but that's okay.
Round two.
Round two. We'll love a round two.
Yeah.
Maybe even do it live.
Maybe do it live. Yes, Sonya.
One of the shows.
I didn't even tell that story. We tried. We've tried to do it live a few times.
Oh yeah, but definitely something. I believe when it's meant to be, it's meant to be. It'll work out. No, it would be fun live. It would be.
We would love to do that.
We just get another person.
Yeah, exactly. We just want to sign you hug.
We want to barter a hug.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, or I'll give you a hug. I'm a big hugger. It's funny when people say hello, they put their hand out. I'm like, oh no. Thank you so much, though, both of you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sonya. The pleasure is absolutely ours. We're ecstatic to be talking to you, and ecstatic that you just spent an hour of your life with us. And we're very grateful for that.
Thank you for doing this for our industry. Seriously. Thank you.
So, Miss Sonya Dove, thank you very, very much for joining us on your day off. Hey, so there it is. Hey, this is a message that we've been trying to bring, I don't know, for the last couple of months, actually since we started the podcast. Hey, so if you like the podcast or if you find that it's useful, please leave us a review, a 5-star review on iTunes. Leave us a rating and a review.
But if you don't like it, forget about it.
Yeah, totally forget about this message. We also want to thank Sarah and Blaine from Pretty Gritty. Sarah and Blaine, they are a band out of Portland, Oregon, and we just want to thank them very much for allowing us to use their song, Pleased to Meet You, on our podcast. That's cool. I think you can find, actually you can find their music on iTunes.
Peace and hair grease.